Happy Sunday, Syndicate members. I am here with the three mentors from the focus group. If you are not aware of what the focus group is, you're maybe new to the syndicate or you've been in the syndicate for a while and you just never joined it. The focus group is a separate Facebook group. It's a separate page that we've created specifically designed to help those of you that really need to hone in on specific skills, producing, mixing, and mastering, identifying references, identifying emotional tones. We do the whole range. Between myself and these three talented producers in front of you, we are helping you essentially hone in on those tiny little skills. They take maybe just a little bit to master and figure out, but once you stack enough of those skills up together, you become a machine, a producing machine. And you have all these skills in your tool belt, and you become a professional producer at that point, and get your tracks up to the level or on par with the professionals and those catalogs out there that you don't think right now you could even get to it. You can get to it, but it takes baby steps. You got to do it one day at a time, one homework assignment at a time, one open review assignment at a time. And that's all the focus group is about. So if you're not a member of it, go to the pin post up here in this page. Click on the pin post. If you can't see a pin post, if you're on a mobile device, you need to click on view pin post. It'll bring down tons and tons of stuff. Okay. Just scroll to the bottom of that pin post and you'll see to join the focus group, click this link, click that link, and you'll automatically be joined. If you're a member of the syndicate, you're automatically in there. Okay. So it's an added group that is included here with this program. So briefly, maybe we'll just do a kind of a quick introduction for you three. We haven't done a chat in a while, and there's probably a lot of new members that don't know who you guys are. So if you guys could just give me like a quick little, 2 to 3 minute introduction to who you are, what kind of music you make, and where you are essentially in your career right now with music licensing. So Bruce, we'll start with you.
Hey guys, my name is Bruce. I'm a trumpet player, rapper, producer. I do a lot of music, and I also do a lot of top lining, when it comes to this side of the business. I've been a mentor in here for a couple months, and I've definitely grown significantly since I started really hustling within the syndicate.
Whoops. Looks like we just lost Bruce.
Go down into this side of things. But, this is a great place to be. And along with these other guys, you're definitely going to learn a ton. I really specialize in hip hop, and I dabble a little bit more with orchestra and EDM. But I'm also my expertise is really in lyric writing, as well as composing, and just the elements of the craft itself. So just being able to put your ideas together, getting the most out of your ideas, making your ideas flow so they don't sound so jagged, and I can also help you guys out in making your track sound bigger, fuller, and just the little specific elements that you need to make your tracks shine. So yeah.
Awesome. And Chris.
Hi, my name is Chris, and yeah, I've been here with these guys for a few months, and I just love like every single minute of it. I'm more focused on orchestral music, so my background is like orchestral music, just like conducting the orchestra and musical theater. I'm still doing some of them for my day job, and yeah, I talk a lot about strings and brass and instruments, and like how to make like realistic sounds. And actually there's gonna be another video like for tutorial, like probably today or next week the latest. But yeah, I'm here to help and here to serve and here to talk about orchestral music and how much we love epic music and something like that. So yeah, whatever you have, if you have questions, just let me know. And regarding orchestral music. Thank you.
Yeah, and Chris just got accepted by a pretty major music library. He had submitted to him a few months back, and he just got an acceptance letter. So thumbs up for Chris. That's awesome. That's always a very encouraging sign that you're doing something right, that they're impressed with your music, man. So that's really cool. Congrats to you. But now, obviously, the hard work begins. Now you got to really knock their socks off and deliver. So in some ways, I'm excited for you, but I'm a little worried for you. You're going to have a lot of work ahead of you. But I know you can do it, man. You definitely have the work ethic, and you're going to get your head down and just, crank out some great tracks. So that's awesome, man. And Gabriel. So Gabriel, actually, this is the first time we've been doing a chat. So I'm glad that Gabriel was able to join us today. Gabriel, let us know where you're from, actually, where you are right now, and where you've started, essentially. What's your journey been through for music licensing?
Yeah. So my name is Gabriel, and I'm from Sweden, actually. So it's 6 p.m. Do you say p.m.? a.m. p.m. I joined the syndicate like I think it was around a year ago, and I've also been mentor for a couple of months. I mainly produce EDM and pop, so kind of jack of all trades producer. Yeah. I also started like producing. I think I started producing when I was around 10. So my whole background is actually in producing music. So I've learned everything from there. So yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you obviously were able to join us today. And so what I want to ask you three, and this is like, honesty time. What is the number one thing right now that is really bumming you out or that's really in your way or that's really an obstacle for you that really you really know that you're going to have to get past this thing to make music licensing your full-time gig? If you can kind of think about, is it a time issue? Is it a workflow issue? What is it really like where you're at right now that I got to get through this thing or I'm going to have some bigger problems down the road? If whoever has an idea right away, just go ahead and shout it out.
I'll start off right with workflow. That's definitely a problem for me. I recently wrapped up an album for a client, and I think it took like 6 or 7 hours just to organize and make alts and stems, and that would have taken like 1 hour had I just organized from the very start. So that I learned that the hard way.
So that was an issue of your session was a bit of a mess, and then when you needed to organize it was a big,
even like naming the tracks, I had to like search through my folders just to find the project files. So
it is, and that's a tricky thing because I'm always tempted to do it as well. When I add a new instrument or I find something that I like, I typically don't want to take that just 2 seconds to type in bass or synth or lead or whatever it is, right? And you just want to
just so in the flow, right?
So the one way to do it is obviously to take that 2 seconds to name your tracks, color code them so everything's nice and organized. Or another way is when you're in the moment of, okay, I've got a cool 4/8 bar riff going here, I kind of like it. You can take the moment when you just stand back and hit play and just listen to it. Take that moment to actually just go through and like, all right, bass, this. So while you're listening and kind of absorbing what you've done and maybe trying to inspire yourself to add that next instrument or that next progression or whatever you might want to do, you can kind of sort of like stack these things up together. So while you're monitoring it, you're also naming your tracks. So you're absolutely right, though. That's one of those key things. And I do mention that many times in the master course. I talk about that all the time in my tutorials. And I try to always show a good example for you guys of whenever I have a tutorial, it's like everything's named, everything has colors. So it's just nice and just clean so that, when you do need to make sure like, hey, let's solo out this lead, let's solo out this, let's get just a drum and bass version. Everything is nice and tight. I know that Trevor has a really, really great method for how he organizes his sessions. Now, the reason why his is really powerful is because Trevor, basically his full-time job has been mixing and mastering TV film tracks. So he had to come up with a really quick way to create alt mixes and stems and all that kind of stuff. And he included those in the From Rejected to Accepted course that we put together a couple months back. Really, really powerful stuff. I even started incorporating a lot of that stuff into my workflow to make it much faster. But, obviously you can always use what works for you. There's never one way to get it done. But if you don't have a way to do it, obviously number one is just name and color your tracks. Like that's a real easy one that everybody can do. But there are more even advanced ways to do it where you can just now have sessions set up beforehand, and it makes mastering and mixing much easier too. So that's good to know, man. So the workflow situation, organization tips. Okay, that's a good one. Chris, how about you, man? What are you going through?
For me, I kind of mentioned in the Facebook, but I was going through some like real life stuff. So I've been here in the States, like I think it's almost 6 years after, after I graduated my school. I just like stayed here, got my artist visa and all that kind of stuff. But it's like I'm at the place that my age is kind of weird. So I think like people expect me to have a like family and all other, stuff, or like real job, like other people say.
Right.
So, and I'm trying to get through this and like trying to build up like my career and like, have to make tracks and all that kind of stuff. It's just like really hard to get through that. And so I'm like, right now I'm just trying to have like as many as like connections as possible with like music libraries and all, like other producers and stuff. So even if I have to go back to my country, I can still work on music business, music production, this all this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, and maybe because of that, like I have to go through a lot of stuff and I have to do extra things, like some like paperwork for my like status, and I had to go to like some government offices in the morning, like the time that I really want to use for like making tracks. So, but that was really tough. But I think I'm like really organized person. So like if you look at my calendar, I have like 15 different colors and color coding everything. And so it's like my kind of solution was just sleep less. That is really hard to do, and that is still really hard to do, but like kind of get used to it. But so every week I just plan my week. So if I were supposed to wake up at like 7 a.m. to make tracks, I just have to do it. Like even if I couldn't sleep more than 3 or 4 hours, I just have to wake up that time, and I just have to do the things that I already planned. Otherwise, it's all just gonna fall apart. And I think we all have day jobs, and it's like just it's like not good to make excuses about like we don't have times anymore, kind of stuff. So I'm just like using my morning just to make tracks, and in the afternoon I have to go teach, and when I come back I eat quick dinner and I make tracks again and do that again, because that's what we do and that's what we love to do. So yeah, but it's like time management and all the other real life stuff, and it's been just really bothering me. But sometimes life just gives you like really good gift, like what I got yesterday. Like I applied to that library like 3 months ago and I completely forgot about it. And the funny thing is that email actually came to my spam folder. So if I didn't check my spam folder yesterday, I could have just lost it. So
wow.
So the first thing I did was like checking the date, but that was actually yesterday. So I actually responded to the person like after 2-3 hours after he sent me email. So that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was really crazy. But,
it's word to the wise for all you guys that have submitted. Check your spam folders.
Yeah.
You getting back to you. You guys thought they
gonna do it right now.
So now, okay. So the good news is, I mean, Chris, obviously, I know you probably want to stay. I'm guessing in the States, and that's where a lot of the stress is coming from. But if you're not able to, and you do have to go back, the good news is that music licensing doesn't care about that, right? Like, and obviously, I know you'd be bummed out, but just so you know, you always can still work with everybody here in the syndicate. You can still work with U.S. libraries. You can still be signed up with BMI or ASCAP. So it's in terms of like your success, nil. Doesn't make any difference at all. Now, obviously, it's going to be your personal surroundings, like whatever's happening for you back there. That might change, obviously, from where you are now. But you tapped on something pretty powerful there when you were saying that, family and friends and everybody, they might start putting expectations on you to say, well, why don't you get that real job? Why don't you start settling down? Why don't you start doing this? And I am not here to tell you guys to like, I'm not going to give relationship advice. That's not what I do. I have no business doing that. But the one thing that I always thought about whenever I get advice from people that say, you know what, you should really you should buy this car. You should buy a house. You should do this. You should do that. Or even people that in my family telling me like, yeah, maybe you should go, because I originally long time ago wanted to be a lawyer. Like, hey, maybe you should just go get that law degree. That's a little bit more stable and whatever. The question that you don't have to ask people in your family this question, but in your head, you can always remember that if they tell you like, why don't you do this? Why don't you get married? Why don't you go get that job? They're not going to be the ones picking up the tab. if you go do that, right? So let's say they tell you, yeah, you should go buy that car. Why don't you get a nicer this, a nicer that? Are you going to buy that for me? Like, if I can't afford it in 2 years, are you going to be the one that the debt collection can come and collect? No, it's going to be you, right? You're going to be the one that has to live with that decision, live with that responsibility. So even if something as serious as like, hey, you should settle down, you should get married, you should do this. If in your heart, you're like, I don't know, maybe someday, but maybe not now. And whatever you're feeling, remember that like, if you do succumb to their suggestion because you feel that pressure, if you're unhappy taking that advice, it's not them that's going to be really paying that price. It's you, right? You're the one that's going to actually sit there going, damn, I just like, you kind of, you know, pissed away my career for this because I wanted to satisfy somebody else. And now I understand, you know, family dynamics and pressure and culture, all that stuff is very powerful. So like, this is not a quick, easy, like, oh, no problem, right? I totally treat this with a lot of seriousness. And I understand I have a lot of friends who are dealing with this where they are being limited in many ways because they have parents that are like, yeah, I don't think you're going to succeed at that. Go get a real job. And it's putting their like ceilings on top of their success because they also are now believing that themselves. So it's a much deeper issue than we can get into right now. But we'll always encourage you guys to just keep that in mind. No matter how people's good intentions are about like, you should do this, you should do that with your life, you should buy this, you should invest in that. Remember, at the end of the day, it's your time, it's your money, it's your heart, it's your soul. So you're the ones you're gonna be the ones that's stuck with that decision. So even though they would be happier if you made a choice that they're cool with, I always think in my head, like if you're telling me to make a big life choice and a big decision, if I'm not happy with that, can I come take it out on you? Like, can I come get that from your bank account if I'm not happy? Can I come get time back from you? Like if I wasted 2 years on something that you told me I should do, I can't get that 2 years back from you. I can't get that money from you. At the end of the day, it's really on you. You're going to be the one that has to live that decision. So just, you know, trust yourself in many ways. That's what I would say. You know, it's cliche, but it is very true that like, just trust how your gut usually is telling you what you should be doing. And a lot of times we have all these other voices and propaganda and just things that are telling us do this, do that. But at the end of the day, it's like right in here. Like that's where your truth, you can't even see my hand there, but yeah, it's in here. That's where the truth is, right? And usually, you know, like you probably, Chris, know what you want to do. You probably already have that answer. It's probably deep down in you. And you're getting other voices that are this and this and this and this. At the end of the day, you got to make your choice and you got to live with your choice. So if you're making it for other people, usually that's not the happy ending. That's usually not how people find themselves very fulfilled, that they made their life choices to please other people. Usually you find the success stories of people that are like, you know what? A lot of people were trying to say I couldn't do it. A lot of people saying I couldn't. If you guys watched my video, was it yesterday about Rodney Dangerfield? I don't know if you guys watched that. That guy faced so much rejection, 10 years of failing in the business, 11 years of quitting and going and getting a day job, selling aluminum siding for people, a door-to-door salesman, carrying around a briefcase, and trying to start again at age 40 and everybody telling him, now you're too old, man. Like you weren't funny then and now you're too old. And in the face of all that rejection, he still became like a household name of like comedy genius, right? Yeah. So, and that didn't happen unless he had that little truth in him that was like, yep, everybody's telling me I can't do it. Everybody's telling me I'm being ridiculous. Everybody's telling me I should go get a real job, all that stuff, right? You know, that's just my 2 cents on it. You're going to have that just stubbornness to just push through it. And that's a big topic, obviously, that we can talk, you know, hours on and stuff. So, but I feel for you, Chris. I know a lot of people in your situation that are dealing with those kind of life pressures. We all deal with those, right? Let's not kid ourselves. We all have families. We all have jobs. We all have probably people around us going like, you're still trying that thing out? I don't know, right? So we all have those people. Just know that everybody that's successful has had that. You're not special in that way, that like you're the only one dealing with that pressure. Everybody that succeeded that you guys look up to, that you're like, wow, like look at this producer, he's incredible or she's incredible. They all gone through that too, right? Everybody has to go through that. It's just sort of like the birthing process of getting into full-time income is like, you'll have a lot of crabs in the bucket trying to grab you on the way out of it. That's just, you know, it's sort of like your obstacle course. You have to go through this process. So just know you're not alone in that. Everybody feels that way. And anybody who's going to something great has to go through a lot of mediocrity, right? There has to be a lot of people who are going to doubt you and go like, I don't know, that seems a little bit too far-fetched. So you're right on track. You're where you're supposed to go. Now you're going to have your own path to get there, but just know that you are on the right path, man. You're doing what you should be doing there. So really good stuff. All right. Sorry, Bruce, kept you waiting this long, man. What about you? What's been going on in your life?
Okay. So my situation is kind of like Chris's, but I didn't move halfway, you know, around the world. But just to let you guys know where I'm at right now, I'm currently working with 2 libraries and one actually very closely, very closely. And I only started this about 7 months ago. So when I look at it in a big picture like that, I'm actually very happy, and it makes me really proud of myself. However, I haven't gotten my first placement yet. So when I think about like the number of tracks I have out there in a short amount of time, and all the custom gigs that I've done that I thought, man, this is it, you know, and even the ones that I felt a little bit more like, oh, this is special. There's something about this one. And it's like, nope, you didn't get it. It's kind of like, you know, it never feels good. But I just try not to dwell on that. So, but this is actually perfect timing for this, Jesse, because something just happened within my life that I realized I need to make this change. So when I started, when I was living in Miami, I basically taught and I gigged, playing trumpet and rapping, and that was perfect. I was making enough income, I was really happy. It was a lot of fun, this and that. But then when I came across, I knew I was going to be moving across the country with my fiance to Madison, Wisconsin. So it's like real big jump. And when I came here, I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on my music licensing thing. This is going to be my bread and butter. I actually stopped playing trumpet. I stopped writing lyrics. I was like, this is my focus. And I kind of just threw everything to the side, which in retrospect, I shouldn't have done that, but I did it. I'm kind of a go all in type of person. And anyways, since I've been here for reasons that are out of my control, I've had 3 different jobs, but I've always had 2 jobs at the same time. So some days I wake up at 4 and I don't come home till about 9 p.m. And then I still try to make music before and after. And but one of the things that I was doing wasn't making time for anything else. And everything felt like it got in the way of music licensing. And I was kind of all consumed. Like, this is my world. I need to go for this. And if I needed to go get ham and cheese, because I eat a lot of sandwiches. So if I ran out of ham and cheese and I need to run to Aldi's, which is right there, it's like I don't even need to go that far. I could ride bike. It's like, man, I have to go get this. So I would rush. I would come home, make my sandwich real quick, and eat it while working, and just doing that all the time. And after about 7 months, or maybe at that point, like 6.5 months or something of doing that, just nonstop, never doing anything else, I kind of hit this wall. So my in-laws came, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get a nice vacation. This is going to be nice for a couple of days. And then when they left, and it was that Monday, time to get back to work, I didn't want to. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. I've never really not wanted to make music. And that for the rest of that week, I didn't do anything because I just couldn't. I'm very disciplined and I have a lot of willpower, but that week was horrible. And I started thinking about it. So it was like a 2-week stretch of time that I didn't do anything at all. I couldn't. And I was thinking about what you were saying with the burnout that you had after so many years of doing this, and you would just start putting out tracks like, okay, I'm not into this, but this works, and here you go, and I get my placement, and hooray, but your heart wasn't in it. And so that's what was happening to me at that point. And I was thinking, man, I've only been doing this for 6-7 months, and I'm already feeling like this. How am I going to keep this up? And so what I realized in that time was that I was living without balance. I wasn't doing other things. I was totally consumed by this, and I wasn't placing importance on, I don't know, being with certain special people in my life, or making time to do other things that I really enjoy doing, like practicing trumpet or writing lyrics. And so I actually found a way to bring those into the music licensing world. So now I'm actually doing a lot of top lining, and I'm doing a lot of trumpet playing within the business and also outside of the syndicates, just like session work from my house, because I've learned a lot about how to make good sounding music through the syndicate, and thanks to your help. So I've actually, figured out how to do the things I like while still building my career and not taking time away from just working myself to the bone. Because I realized if I kept going down that pattern, then the next time it was going to be 5 months, and then it'd be 3 months, and then it'd be 2 months, and then I'm totally shot. So I think that's what I realized, is that you have to live with balance and you have to make time. And that's why workflow and efficiency while you're working is so important, because if you can get more done in a shorter amount of time, then you have more time to let your mind rest, to let your body digest all the hard work that you've been putting in, and you'll be able to go and stick with this for the long term. So I think that was what I was missing, and now I'm kind of, now when I make my sandwiches, I take my time. I don't rush through it. And if I eat, so I don't eat all the time while I'm working. Sometimes I actually just eat, you know. And so I think just living that way, it feels real good. I feel a lot better. I still can sleep more, but that's whatever. I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
But I feel a lot better now that I'm kind of more balanced with my.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you tapped on that, because I worry for some of you guys that are, you know, in your beginning stages and you're just go because the excitement's there. You're right. You're going to hit that wall because the balance wasn't there. And that's all part of some of it. Like, I think some of it you can prepare people for something like that. But in many ways, even if I told you that wall was coming, Bruce, I think in some ways you wouldn't have you probably just like, whatever, I'm never going to hit that wall, because you're excited, right? So it's like, you don't want to even like put any self-doubt in your head. You're like, no, I'm just going, right? So in some ways, like, this is kind of a journey that all of us, we have to go on our own. Like, we have to figure it out for ourselves, because what works for Bruce is different for Chris, different for Gabriel, different for me. But what he said right there was so valuable. The balance, though, if you are 100% like he was doing, ignoring all the other things that he enjoyed, you know, at the risk of, you know, sacrificing relationships and his other enjoyable activities, and not feeling a sense of balance and just being so like sucked into this one industry, because you don't get paid for so long, because it takes so long. If you guys were getting a check every week for your placements, I'm sure you'd have no problem just, you know, having a little bit more obsession over music licensing. It probably wouldn't be so hard, because you're like, damn, I got paid again and again and again. So you kind of get those incentives built in. But because this business takes such a long time to get started, you know, 2 years, 3 years, it can take a long time to get that income up. You know, without that sort of incentive, we got to remember, we are mammals. We are, you know, creatures that really respond to incentives. So without that paycheck coming in so quick, you got to have other hacks. You got to have something else that gets you excited about it for at least the first couple of years. And that's what we do here, being a part of this really cool group, and you guys just being open and honest. And I really appreciate you guys doing that, being real about where you are now and what's really bothering you. But that's what this kind of a group is for. It's for us to really just reach out, and it's only as valuable as we make it, right? The more that we're sort of vulnerable and reach out and talk about what we're really going through, the more that we can kind of encourage each other and go like, hey, I'm feeling that way too. Like what you just said, Bruce, is probably what's going on in at least 10 or 20 other members' minds right now. They're probably hitting that wall right now. And without that sort of wisdom that you gave, because you're going through it right now, they might have just given up. And that's what happens. Most producers just give up. They just go, I don't know. It's just no money. 6 months, 7 months into this, I'm already getting tired of it. Screw it. And then they stop. And sadly, that's the most common story in this business, is that sort of rush of excitement in 6 months, a year, and then no royalties or little royalties, or like you're waiting for that first placement, right? You're not getting that first placement as fast as you wanted it. And then they just sort of stall, right? But man, if I had $1 for every time I was disappointed in a royalty check or not getting the placements that I thought I deserved, I would have given up so many times. And even though, yes, you're right, I do sort of tell that story about a couple years back when I hit a big wall. I hit so many walls in my career. I mean, it wasn't like that was the only one and everything else was just smooth sailing. I got, let go of projects. I didn't get plenty of custom cues. I submitted for tons of them and was never getting them in the first couple of years. So I know that frustration of like thinking like, yeah, I think that's the one. And then the few custom gigs that I did get were the ones that I spent very little time on. And it's like, why did I get that one? So I had a lot of confusion, a lot of just whatever going on in my career. So I don't want to lead you guys to believe that I was just smooth sailing on and then hit a wall in 2016. No, I was hitting walls all the time. It was happening all the time. The one in 2016 was such a severe one that I was basically just walking away from the business. I literally told all my libraries I was working for, just stop including me on your briefs. I'm done. Like, I don't know. I got to go do something else or figure out something else. I literally just like walked away. I hadn't done that before. Before I had just sort of figured out a way to muscle through it. But man, and the other thing I want to get into is your health. So I was living on Rockstar energy drinks, Red Bull energy drinks, sugar, caffeine, not eating well, eating processed food, eating microwavable food, not exercising, you name it. I just was not living a healthy life at all. And I don't care how motivated and excited you are about your career or music licensing. If your fundamentals are funky, like you don't have a healthy body and a healthy mind. And I know that you guys, this is the one thing that I want to figure out how to help you guys with is the sleep. A lot of you guys are just like disregarding sleep. Whatever, who cares about sleep? Sleep is actually the first thing you need. Sleep, with poor sleep, everything falls apart. If you're not getting sleep, you can still have great exercise, great dieting, all that stuff. But if you're not getting the sleep you need, your body's just not getting the reset that it needs. So I want to start figuring out some solutions for that for you guys, because that will be a burnout for you as well, is if you're starting to just let go of sleep. I know Greg, you know, he's been having that issue as well, where he's just like getting rid of sleep. And you can deal with that for a while, but at some point systems will start breaking down. I'll just put it that way. Like things will just not be working anymore. So at the fundamental of all this stuff, you know, and you guys, you three obviously can be the judges of your own health and kind of grade yourself on a scale of like, I always do like a 1 to 10 on those big three. How's my eating? Am I eating, you know, am I doing like maybe a veggie shake every day or every other day? Am I eating a lot of processed foods? Am I eating just tons of sugars and carbs that are kind of leaving me really lethargic and slow? You know, one of the things you can tell, like if you don't know if you're eating well or not, how do you feel after you eat your meals? Do you feel energized and replenished, or do you feel weighted down, bloated, like just lethargic? If you're feeling that way, you're eating something wrong. Okay, that's not what your body is wanting from you. Maybe your tongue's wanting it because your tongue's like, I want the sugars and the carbs, but your belly and your microbiology is saying, nah, we don't want that. That's not really working out for us. So that's one way to just know, like, if your diet is working or not working. But I don't want to be a health nut and harp on this stuff. But it literally is like, you can't reach your pinnacle in life if that fundamental building block is not there. If you're neglecting your health, you're neglecting your sleep, you're eating like crap, you're not getting some exercise. And I don't mean like go to the gym and be a gym rat. I literally mean 30 minutes outside, take a walk with the sunshine on your skin. That's what I mean. Get outside. We're inside all the time in this business and we're stuck in front of a computer screen. I think you three right now are sitting down. Sitting down is the worst thing you can do for your health. If you guys can figure out a way to do, there you go. I have a standing desk. If you guys can figure out a way to get a standing, I know some of them are more expensive than others. But I bet for like $100, you could probably find something cheap from Walmart where it just, it goes on your desk and it raises you up and you can just adjust it. Start standing up. I'm telling you, like these little things, like you're like, what? The difference between succeeding and not is if I stand up or sit down. No, but you combine all this stuff together and you start just getting energy on 10 every day. And then like you have these 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. days, cakewalk, right? I mean, that's a long time though. I'm not going to say that's going to be easy, but you're going to have all this energy just suddenly surging through you. And there's other stuff. Obviously, there's meditation. There's other things you can do. That's a discussion for another time. But I would encourage you three to think about that. Really be honest and evaluate your dieting, your exercise, and how you're sleeping and stuff. Because if you get that stuff right, almost everything else in life starts to just solve itself. It's literally kind of crazy. When I started fixing my health, probably around 2016, I was doing some things okay, but really, I really wasn't living a very healthy lifestyle. 2016, I really started just like taking it much more seriously. I think part of getting older, you start figuring it out. You're like, man, like I'm getting fat now. Like I can't eat the stuff I used to eat. Like my body is like the metabolism totally slowed down. So you start like losing like the necessity or the nice things about being young, and you start taking care of that stuff. But I just, man, like everything's just started blowing up through the roof for me. My career blossomed, my placement started growing, my opportunities started growing. I had all this extra energy to start teaching people and doing this kind of stuff. So that can't be done if I'm eating microwavable burritos, getting 4 hours of sleep, and sitting down in front of a computer screen 8 hours a day. Not happening, just impossible. So I don't want to harp too much, but I do in many ways want to make sure you guys get that. So anyways, thank you guys so much for your participation today. I appreciate your honesty. I know everybody watching obviously does appreciate you guys too. So again, last reminder for everybody watching, if you want to interact more with these guys, go to the focus group. You can find the link in the pinned post. If you're already a member, you should have it as a shortcut on your sort of tab in Facebook. If you ever want to look up anything that we've done in the past, like a production tutorial, a homework assignment, anything that's happened in that group, you just go to the search tab. If you're on a desktop in a browser, there's a search tab. You can search the group. Just type in homework, type in production tutorial, type in whatever you're looking for, and you'll find anything that we've done in that group. Now that group we started in January, so it's a couple of months old now, but there's a lot of content in there. And even though a current homework assignment has passed, you can still watch it, download it, and participate and watch the review video between myself or one of our members that upload it. And they do homework assignments as well. So it's not just me in there. They have their own take on things that work. So you definitely want to participate as much as possible. This group is only as valuable as you make it. It's like going to school. If you show up and just, you know, do the bare minimum, you'll get the bare minimum education. But if you show up for the lab hours, you show up for the professor hours, you participate in extracurricular stuff, extra credit, that's when you really get the real value of this group. And I want to make sure you guys are all aware of that and take advantage of it. So thank you, mentors. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesse.
Thanks.